Good morning, everyone. My name is Charles, and I started attending here at the Urban Abbey almost exactly 4 years ago. Pastor Deborah asked if I would share some of my thoughts about courage today. And I have to admit that courageous is not the word that I would normally use to describe myself. You see, I hid the fact that I was gay from almost everyone that I knew, and had spent close to 3 decades serving in a non-denominational fundamental church where out-of-the-closet gay people were not accepted. Actually, they were normally vilified. It was a long journey, and it was terrifying at times, but eventually I made my way out of that church, and I found a wonderful haven of love and acceptance and encouragement here at the Urban Abbey. That's not the story that I want to tell you this morning, though. The story I want to tell today is about how being surrounded here at the Abbey with the unconditional love and the people of the Abbey, that encouraged me to be comfortable with me, with who I am. And it helped me make one of the most important decisions of my life, the decision to become a father. Not quite a year after the ban on gay foster parents was lifted here in Nebraska, I began my journey to become a single foster dad. I dreamt of having my own family for years, but it seemed unlikely for a myriad of reasons. Of course, one being that there just aren't any ready-made pathways for single gay men to become fathers. It's just not really there. Against all odds, I became a foster dad. January of 2019, and some of you here will remember that. It was a very auspicious time, a very scary time for me, but a teenager named Jacob with a K, not a C, Jacob came into my life. And to say that being a foster dad was not exactly what I expected would be a gross understatement. You see, within the very first couple weeks of Jacob coming to live at my home, he took off in the middle of the night during an all-out blizzard, as one does, with his girlfriend and 2 of his best friends on a cross-country trek that had local news coverage of police and state patrol chasing him down across several states. And that really was one of his mildest escapades. I'm not joking, that really was. That's easy, that's a breeze now. Oh, that was fun times. Well, not exactly, but not during the time. Over the next couple of years, things seemed very dark and at times hopeless. And the dream that I had of having a family seemed to have been swept away into a dark oblivion. And it would have been lost if not for family, friends, family support workers like Audrey, who's watching from home. Hi, Audrey. And also being surrounded by my church family here. So many of you were here with me. So many of you saw me break down into tears and comforted me many times and got me through so many things and situations. But I was surrounded by my church family here and at Benedictine contemplative prayer retreats and late night conversations at campfires in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. You all listened to me and sometimes didn't know what to say or to express other than to give me a hug and a prayer. And that was more than enough. And slowly but surely, within the last year, a miracle began to unfold in ways and scenarios that I would have never imagined possible. Even though I'd been told by all of the therapists and psychiatrists and many other experts that it would never be possible for me to have a meaningful, connected relationship with Jacob, I refused to give up no matter how insurmountable the odds seemed to be. And after what seemed like one catastrophe after another, things began to turn around and transition into a story heading towards an ending that's starting. It's starting to be filled with grace and hope. And I am very elated to say that within the last year that I not only have a son who I dearly love, but I also have a son that loves me. It's because of that that we're slowly but surely becoming a family. Is everything perfect now? Oh, God, no. Not by a long shot. But as family, now we can work on it together. And it's such a change. It's so wonderful. I believe that's where courage comes into the story. You see, I always thought courage meant that you were full of strength and power and no fear whatsoever, lots of bravado. Think of the alpha male in the movies. That is obviously totally and completely not me whatsoever. I'm kind of mild-spoken, mild-mannered, more the Clark Kent type, and I don't ever get into the phone booth to change into the suit. But that's what I thought it meant. At least that's what I used to think. But I have a new definition that I think is more accurate nowadays. I believe that courage means you have a dream in your heart that may seem absolutely impossible. But against all odds, you make a decision to follow that dream, even though it may lead you down dark and unknown paths that can be very scary and sometimes even terrifying. But if you listen to your heart and open your eyes, you'll start to sense and then see the light of God, even in the midst of overwhelming uncertainty. And that very same path that moments ago was filled with darkness and dread begins to be filled with light and an all-encompassing sense of peace, that everything that you'd hoped for is starting to slowly coalesce into a tangible reality filled with love and joy. Now, I could be wrong, but I think courage is where miracles often come from. Someone listens to that still small voice of God speaking in their heart, and they decide to do something courageous, even though, again, it looks impossible and at times very frightening. I challenge you to look around you. There's miracles everywhere waiting to happen. And when God's Spirit speaks in that small whisper in your heart, be sure to listen to her. And I'm sure that you'll see miracles too. May we have the courage.